agenda, and now here at 5:30. We're here in the first floor chambers to conduct the council business meeting in person. And because we encourage community involvement, we invite the public to join us in person or participate via remote option through Zoom or via VCAT. For anyone who is in person and plans to comment tonight, we ask that you please print your name clearly on the sign-in sheet so your name will be included in the meeting record. For more information, please refer to the public comment interim process handout in the back of the room on the entrance table. Tonight, we're going to have council members Coughlin and Fry attending remotely. Dave, will you confirm they're here?
They're both online.
Okay, thank you, sir. We're going to start off tonight with a consent agenda. Ms. Hoover.
Thank you, President Younger. For approval on the consent agenda are the following items. A, claims and check register, approval of the following checks and electronic fund transfers. 1, check numbers 413116 through 413264 and EFT numbers V44988 through V45097 in the grand total amount of $3,755,707.73. 2, regular payroll for pay period ending November 15th, 2025 in the amount of $1,294,505.29. 3, retiree payroll for pay period ending November 30th, 2025 in the amount of $37,832.38. B, minutes of council meeting November 19th, 2025. And C, change order number 1 with Sound Pacific Construction LLC for the Central Bremerton Force Main Replacement Project. This concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. If any member of the public wishes to speak on any of the consent agenda items, we only ask that you state your name for the record and please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Does any member of the public wish to comment on any of the consent agenda items? Mr. Sorensen, will you check online, please?
I see none online.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing none, I'll ask for the council for a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Call for the question.
Councilmember Chamberlain? Yes. Fry?
Yes.
Coughlin?
Yes.
Robolowski?
Yes.
Goodnow?
Yes.
Mochler?
Yes.
Younger?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. There's no general business items tonight. Well, we do have 2 public hearings. So, Ms. Hoover, would you read the first one, please?
Yes. Public hearing 5A. It's a public hearing on ordinance number 5529 to approve the 2025 through 2026 mid-biennium budget update. Our presenter tonight is Finance Director Mike Riley.
Thank you. And I believe Mr. Riley will be participating remotely. So go ahead when you're ready, Mr. Riley.
All right, do a sound check real quick. Make sure you can hear me.
Yes.
I'm seeing nods. All right. Thank you again. Thanks for allowing me to be remote tonight. I think everybody knows that the agenda item was originally scheduled for the 17th, and I'm out of town this evening. So I'll do my best. We do have backup just in case we have technical failures. So Misty and Lauren are backing me up. But so again, want to thank the council, thank the mayor. A lot of time, effort putting the mid-biennium budget option together. Just a quick recap, we had a two scheduled council sessions, workshop to go kind of through the update. We held one of those, and then on the 19th of November, we had the first public hearing that presented the mid-biennium update. So tonight I've got just 3 slides, just kind of recap. This is just a continuation of the November 19th meeting, and then we're here to answer any questions. So let me share my screen. Let me know when you can see that.
Yes.
All right, so we'll just dive right in. So again, we're just truing up. We have an adopted 25-26 budget that was adopted last year for the 2-year. What we're doing tonight is just truing up fund balances, truing up recognized revenue for what we are reforecast for 26, and updating for any changes, contract settlements, other contract adjustments, but no new programs. Same programs that were adopted in the 26 budget. So first slide, just to recap of where we're at. 1 second. Having some difficulty here. There we go. Got it. Let's see. Try that again. All right. Next slide. Let me know you can see that slide.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to kind of recap where we were, we shared this slide on November 19th. Just as we adopted the 2026 budget, originally we had adopted ending fund balance of just over 10.1%. 37 days of operation at $5.972 million. With the mid-biennium adjustments to revenues, adjustments to costs, things that didn't materialize, we're looking to materialize at 13.2%. Ending fund balance at the end of 26, that's 48 days of operation. We spoke before, best practice for our GFOA, best practice as Government Finance Officers Association is our kind of prescribes our oversight body. Looks at 60 days as the best practice. City policy is at 30 days at 8.5%. Just wanted to show that we had adopted a 10.1 and we're projecting and forecasting at 13.2. At the end of 25, we're projecting to have a 13.9, $14 million fund balance, about 81 days of operation. Summary of changes, just some things we talked about along the way here through October and now. So 2026, we had adopted citywide budget just over 235 million. The 2026 proposed mid-biennium proposed budget, 253 million. That's inclusive of fund balance, so expenditures plus fund balance. Our utilities, our water utility has already been approved, a 3% increase, wastewater 3% increase, and stormwater utility at 3% increase. The average dollar increase for single family resident, that was about $4 a month. That assumes 600 cubic feet of usage per month. Property tax, we tell you the total property tax levy at 9.4 million and the EMS levy at 3.2 million. That levy is a 1% increase. That the impact of that is about on the average household about a $6.79 per year impact, and that assumes an average assessed home value in Bremerton at $379,000. All right, with that, I'll stop and here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Director Riley. So the purpose of this public hearing is to accept public comment and action is anticipated. With that, does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Jose Camacho, friend of Smith Cove, Rock the Block. I tried to listen to that. I tried last year. And what apparently the city doesn't get is that that's basically gibberish to like 95% of us. You guys don't actually present these things where the public can meaningfully participate. And this is probably the most complex thing the city produces in terms of a paper and a presentation. And I'm math phobic, so numbers automatically shut my brain down. But I would actually like to hear from a human being who can break it down in some kind of summary, some kind of comprehensive way, for that citizens can feel they actually know what you guys are doing. As you know, I and others from the public have complained that there is some serious, inexcusable misallocation of resources. So in its most dumbed down way, you guys should be getting that we don't feel like we're actually represented when you give presentations like this. It would be nice if there was some serious effort to actually get the community involved. A sit down, you guys do town halls, you could do that for the budget. It actually takes work for me to go from video hearing to try to keep track of what's going on. It's serious work. It is not normal, the kind of thing that I do. Public doesn't want to do that. Give the public half a chance to be part of their self-governance. These are numbers, these are important. This is the kind of thing that you guys invoke when you want to shaft someone. Okay, so give it a shot. Let's actually try to be a democracy in Bremerton.
My name is Robin Weldon. I'm with Friends of Smith Cove. I would like to adopt and incorporate Jose Camacho's comment as my own. It, you know, what I want to know is what are you funding the low barrier shelter that would actually help people? It's ready to go. And I haven't heard anybody talking about it since it's been ready to go. I mean, there was supposed to be a decision made in November on the funding, and nothing's been done about this shelter that you guys have been talking about for such a long time. Another thing is this: property taxes are going up for regular residents, for regular apartment owners, but you have the special MFTEs, the 8-year MFTEs for people like Wesley Arthur Larson III, Sound West Group, that where they pay zero in taxes. So our taxes are going up. They pay zero in taxes for services. We need funding now. We're losing funding by them not paying on their developments. They, giving them free gifts. That is unfair. This council, this city took an oath to represent all citizens impartially, and you have failed us because you only represent Wesley Arthur Larson III, Sound West Group, and the Kita Cartel. That's it.
Director Ellie, I believe there was one question in there. Would you like to address whether the 26 budget has any additional funding for a homeless shelter?
So, I can comment. What is in the budget is the originally budgeted capital amount of $1.1 million of our rescue funds that was for the construction of the shelter. That still remains budgeted at this point, and then additional $200,000 of real estate excise tax that was originally budgeted in last year's budget. That still remains. There is not additional funding for ongoing costs in 2026. No additional funding.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Nate Axtell with Westside Baptist Church. Live here in Bremerton. And last city council meeting I came and I made a comment based on a misunderstanding that I had, exposed my lack of understanding of the property tax 1% limit. And I just want to say I appreciate the director's gracious attempt to explain it to me. But so I did go back and I looked it up and just had one question. From my understanding of it, it makes sense that the property tax as a total, the levy as a total, can only go up by a very small amount, but the shift in property values can drastically change the portion of that very small amount that can go to individual homeowners. So my question would be, like, what's the biggest individual tax increase? I guess, because $6 is a tiny little tax increase when you put it that way with that for the average homeowner. I'm just wondering, that means there's a lot of people that are going to be getting way lower, but I'm just interested to see what the maximum tax increase would be.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Oh, sorry, Eric, if you want me to go and respond to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you have that exact number readily available, but please comment if you'd like.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say, if I could offer my contact information, if you would email my office, I'd be happy to give some scenarios for you to talk about kind of the low end to the high end of what that looks like. I think Dave Sorensen there has my email. He could pass that along to you if that worked for you.
Okay, thank you, Director Riley. Mr. Sorensen, would you check online, please? See if there's anyone that wishes to comment.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to do one last call for the public. Any comments on this item? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and I'll turn to the council for a motion.
All right. Okay, I move to pass ordinance number 5529 to approve and adopt the 2025-2026 mid-biennium budget update in accordance with RCW 35A.34.130.
Second.
So we have a motion, and a second. Any discussions from the council?
Yeah, just to clarify, so Mr. Axtell had a question about the maximum. What I saw in the fine print regarding the property tax increase to 1%. What I saw in the fine print was the average impact was $6.79 per household, but that's based on a $379,730 valuation. So, I'm sure that there's a few multi-million-dollar homes, especially nowadays. And so I'm sure that that impact and increases, but it's 1% of the valuation. So am I correct in that? In what I
Yeah.
just, okay,
Yes, I would say it's on the right path. That'd be correct.
okay.
And the three,
Um,
just to clarify, with the 379, that is the county assessing what our average home value is in Bremerton. That's where that number is derived from.
From what date? Like from what
I'm
you,
not sure. I'm not the most current data that they had to pull from.
okay. Because I feel like every time I look at Zillow, like you can get a 2-bedroom house for, $750,000. I don't know, maybe that's just Zillow. All right. So we also had a question about the shelter funding. And you said, and I'm having a hard time hearing, to be honest, but I think you said we have $1.1 million in ARPA funding assigned to a project currently. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And then $200,000 in REIT. And that's still currently assigned. I think there are some limitations, but we're not really here to discuss that today. Other than that, I think these are just kind of housekeeping. There's a few increases. I know there were some concerns about our reserves. I'm curious when we'll have that discussion, if we want to have a discussion as within council about raising the limit so that we can have more in reserves before we have to dip into it. But all in all, I approve these modifications.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember or Vice President Revlowski.
Yeah, there's, I'm going to go in depth in my council report on property taxes, but your property tax bill, only 25% of it is the city. You've got, and then there's two portions of your tax bill that are voter approved. So those people get their money no matter what. Now, things like MFTE, it does raise everybody else's property tax. So it's not truly just a 1% raise. And then, as you know, if you own a house in Bremerton, and I think all of Kitsap County, every 6 years they come through and reassess your house again. So it should stay fairly constant of just the city portion going up only 1 to 1.5%, depending on how many MFTE projects that we still have. But the majority of your tax bill is going to schools and the state general fund. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on the council? And Dave, I want you to check to see if our 2 council members online have their hands up. Go ahead, Councilmember Fry. Is she on mute?
You're still muted, Councilmember Fry.
If you can hear me, Councilmember Fry, you're muted, just in case you can't hear the room.
Who is indeed?
Where did that come from? My goodness, we're gonna make some kind of.
Councilperson
Jeff, in
Hopkins.
case you're wondering the reaction, you came in like some powerful, mighty figure from above, so I don't.
Okay, can you hear me now?
The person behind the curtain or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know.
We can't hear you.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Right. Yeah,
Okay. Um, First of all, thank you, Director Riley and your staff. I, for one, think you've been doing a remarkable job working with department heads and trying to, get our expenses down. And I'm just going to assume that you did that last ringer wash with those expenses before coming here tonight. And I just think you've done a fabulous job. The presentation tonight didn't include a lot of what was talked about at the budget meeting with council. And I just want to make a couple of points. Mr. Riley's presentation at our budget meeting on November 3rd made it clear that the city's current dependence on reserves, now going into its 8th year, is simply not sustainable. The city must either reduce its level of services or raise ongoing operating funding, or both. And in that meeting, we were told that the administration has been working on a plan and it'll present options and recommendations to the council after the holidays, after the first of the year. I'm really counting on that. I really am. I've been waiting for that. What haunts me, though, is that we had an almost identical discussion a year ago. And the deficits, the ongoing deficit and the use of reserves to cover that was challenged. We were reassured in some ways, but it's ongoing. And there were a few of us, at least two of us, at that meeting a year ago that called for what we're going to be doing now. And I know enough, just enough, as a nonprofit CEO, to know that if your ship is going the wrong way, the sooner you change that and navigate in a different way back from red into black, the better. And so we put this off for a year. And that wasn't a council decision. That was an administration decision. And not the acceptance of this budget, but certainly the discussion of this ongoing deficit and calling for revenues. And I look at the past year and I know that it's been full of conflict. We've had a new federal administration that, put a lot of angst in us around federal funding. Mike's department, Mr. Riley's department, shouldered a lot of that. Again, want to commend him. I think he navigated us really well. But it was also a mayoral election year, and I just gotta say, I know I've been around enough in life to know that these things happen. It's not popular talking about raising revenue within a city. It's never popular, but it has to be done. It has to be done. And I know the fire chief's been talking to me this forever. Um, until we start raising revenue, we're going to be closer and closer to cutting services. I, for one, would like to prevent that. And I do trust Mr. Riley. Um, I just really wish we had started this a year ago, because it would have saved us money in the long run. I have no idea how much, but it would have saved us money in the long run, because the further you push off cutting your expenses, the worse it's going to be. Let's not put it off any longer. We were actually charged with saying that the sky was falling at this budget meeting by our council president. I'm still not over that one, council president. But I will say the sky's not falling, but the ground's shaking. The ground is shaking. And it is not sustainable. Mr. Riley has said that. He's also said, and he might not agree now, but he has also said, when I've talked like this several times in the past 4 years since I've joined council, that everything I've said is true. So whether the choices we make on behalf of our citizens, and fiscal responsibility, I believe, is the number one responsibility that we have. And I think we've made some great work happen. And I think we've made a political decision that costs the city of Bremerton at least some money, if not a lot more. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Councilperson Coughlin has his hand up.
Okay, Councilmember Coughlin, go ahead, please.
Well, thanks, Council President. I just have one question and then some comments. Director Riley, do we have any estimate of the costs for FIFA next year to the city in terms of increased public safety costs, parks maintenance, public works maintenance, permitting costs, the extra strain that's going to be on city staff? And is that in this budget?
So no, there's not a line item specifically for that. There's a lot of discussion that's been taking place with the administration and around the county on what that's going to really look like and what revenue is tied to that. There's a lot of not firmed up answers to questions that we have, but there's not a line item today in the budget. We expect to have both expenses and revenue to offset from that, but until we get closer to something a little more that we can materialize, that's not in there at this time. Thank you.
I know we're hoping for revenue, but it's not guaranteed, and maybe costs on top of the deficit we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my fellow council members, folks in the audience, I spoke up a year ago when this annual budget was passed. I voted against it because of my significant concerns over how fast we were depleting general fund reserves. Right, we've had some slow depletion over the past couple of years, but this annual budget really went hard. And to echo Councilmember Fry, it was related to be working throughout this year to address it, and council hasn't seen any proposal for significant cuts or increased revenue. I know there's been, I'm getting at the tail end of a cold here while I'm remote, but I know there was some good work by Director Riley working with departments to trim some supplies and services. But again, I haven't seen any proposed significant cuts or increased revenue. And one of the things that concerns me is we've talked a lot. We talked, been the budget season about our policy of how much cash on hand to have. So the city official policy is 8.5% or 1 month operating expenses for general fund. And so I'm glad it's not looking as dire as last year, is the update Director Riley showed at the start, but it's still a low ending fund balance I think we're looking at. And I looked at some other cities. We've talked about how MRSC has the best guidance of the 2 months cash on hand, the 16.7%. But it was surprising to me how many cities have something higher, with Bellingham at 20% minimum and a 28% target, Linwood at 21%, Berrien at 20%, Bainbridge 25%, Leavenworth 35%, and they're aiming to get to 40%, and some others. And so there are some that's low, but I really do feel like Bremerton, we're hitting the low end of what most cities tolerate. And again, my concern there is reading these policies is in terms of there's a natural disaster we need to operate. If there's funding freezes, a significant downturn, we see, another long-term government shutdown, we're not getting revenue we're counting on, that low funding balance causes me significant concern. But I think on top of that, it's as others said, it's the trajectory that really worries me, right? We are in a bad trajectory, and we're not alone, right? Lots of other cities are in the same situation, and throughout Washington. So we're not alone there, but there's no economic boom expected. This isn't a temporary where we think all of a sudden 2027 is going to hit and everything's going to be better, that costs are going to go down and we're going to get extra sales and property tax, right? The trajectory here is kind of undeniable. And so at some point there has to be a course correction. And we didn't make any last year. We haven't made any this year. It has to happen at some point. And I want to point out other cities have done this. So to highlight two recently, Bellingham doesn't have a biannual budget. They have every year. But just last month, their mayor, Kim Lund, proposed a 2026 budget that cut the equivalent of 30 full-time jobs in the city. And she worked with her city council to enact a new sales tax for public safety. That was just to maintain their public safety staffing. And in Mayor Lund's address, her budget addressed directly to our council, she said, quote, "The budget includes reductions across nearly all departments in the general fund, including the mayor's office, police department, fire department, parks and rec, and the library. I recommend this action with a heavy heart. Our employees are the most important asset of the city. Our employees are the city. But this action is necessary to ensure we can continue to deliver the services to our community sustainably." The other example is Linwood. Now Linwood has a biannual budget like us, 2025, 2026, but they made significant adjustments to their biannual budget. So their mayor, Christine Frizzle, just last month announced plans to cut 11.7 million in expenses in light of a close to $11 million deficit they're facing. And that included staff reductions. 9 city employees, unfortunately, were told they're going to be laid off. She worked with labor unions to ensure compliance. And I want to read in Mayor Frizzle's budget address directly to her city council. She said, quote, "A budget is not something that is set in stone. It's a plan, and plans often change and need to be reassessed, reimagined, and recalculated. It was with heavy hearts and much consideration that cuts were made to staff last week. With these measures, we have identified sizable reductions. However, until the national economy significantly improves, we may need to identify additional reductions." So I quote those 2 cities to show mayors that have worked with their council and taken significant action to address budget shortfalls. And that's what needs to happen in Bremerton. And some folks have asked me, hey, you know, if I had a magic globe, where would I cut? I mentioned supplies and services. There's been some good trimming, but it really takes mayor to deep dive with department heads to look at more cuts. And those other cities, reading those mayor's addresses, they started with their own office. We currently have budgeted for the executive close to 90,000 in miscellaneous funds, and a lot of those are used to fund different community events, miscellaneous things at the mayor's discretion. That's one place that we can start. All over the past 8 years, Bremerton has added 38 full-time, 38 FTEs and staff. And that's a lot. And the number of staff per capita has actually increased slightly. So the majority is, fire, police, and engineering from what I see. And so to me, I think, unfortunately, given the likely decrease in federal and state funds, coming our way over the next couple of years, engineering is a place to look at making staff cuts. I agree with those mayors. It's a heavy heart. It's a really awful decision to make for city staff who are incredible, but at some point that decision has to be made. So to kind of wrap up here, my heartburn to you is we've had only one meeting on this really this year before the meeting today. The October, November, December finance committees, canceled. We only have the latest monthly budget status report for August. We don't have September or October. And so I'm voting no again this year because I don't want to pass the buck on to my successor on council. If the rest of council majority votes no, I'm happy to entertain cuts of revenue proposed by the mayor over the next 2 weeks to get this budget at least a little more balanced. But it's really up to the rest of council here. If they want to pass this budget and deal with a lot of hard choices next year, or try and make a few of those hard choices now. I won't be here. Council President won't be here. Council President Younger, but it's up to this council. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Mockler.
Thank you. I'm so glad we're all sitting down because I wanted to begin by saying I agree with Mr. Camacho. I think that and I have been saying this for years, I think our budget should be more accessible to the public and should be written in plain language, and that we should have a number of meetings with the public. This is a very normal, back in March 2023, the audit committee, where I was chair, I'm always the chair, came up with a memo describing the budget process among a number of different cities in our area. And the typical budget process there is that at the beginning of the year, the public, what did I do? That's fine by me. I can gesture more. Jeff will be my reaction shot. Oh, well. The typical process is you start in January, you start having meetings with the public and talking about what are the priorities of the people who live in the city. And then you start working with the mayor. The council starts working with the mayor and the department heads to develop a budget together. And then a typical deadline for starting to work, have intensive budget workshops is like September and October of the year. That's a way that lets everyone participate and empowers people. I'd also like to take this time to thank Mike Riley for coming to my town hall on September 9th, 2024, where he presented a dazzling plain language version of the budget. And it was, everyone was able to understand it. So Mr. Riley can speak finance, but he can also speak plain language. And I think we should take advantage of this exceptional ability. That's just to say that I agree. We should be looking for revenue. We should be looking for cuts, and cuts that we can make that are available to us should be made plain to us. And they have not been. So I am very hopeful that in the coming year, we can have a budget process that is fully available to everyone who lives in Bremerton and to those who sit on this council. Thank you.
Councilmember Goodnow.
So I just want to remind folks that this is the middle of a 2-year budget. So most of the work to put this budget together was done a year ago. And we're in the middle of it, so we're just checking in with it. We do it in the middle of a year budget as well. And so that's one of the reasons why there's not maybe as big a presentation and discussion. We are only looking at any changes that were really beyond our control. We had some union negotiations change some things and items along that along that idea. And I absolutely agree that we have to look at this stuff. It's, you know, I sit on finance committee with a few others, and you know, we didn't, you know, we're certainly busy, but we didn't take some time maybe to really dig into this. So I would hope any of us that choose to be on the finance committee in 2026 can really commit to doing that. That's the first line of action for this council, is the folks that are working directly with the finance team to make these kind of changes, whether it be plain language, town halls, and also seeking other ways to bring revenue in. Revenue is a tough thing to bring in. It's, you know, shop local. I'll put that in this holiday season. You know, we can raise some taxes, but we can't raise a lot. We can, you know, change some fees, but we can only do certain things. And but also there is a seriousness that we do consider any significant cuts, and it's tricky. So you have you know, reserves. Some people might refer to them as rainy day funds. Well, it's raining, and but it's not going to last forever. So it's giving us some time to react. Anyways, again, we're in the middle of a budget cycle, and we're only talking about adjustments that really have been kind of externally forced on us, whether it's through union negotiations, insurance rate changes, and things like that. So anyways, thanks to the finance department, and thanks for the comments from the public. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. So I have a couple of comments here. So I think a quote was attributed to me that the sky was falling. I don't recall saying that, and I will assure you the sky's not falling. Everything's gonna be okay. As Councilmember Goodnow stated, this is basically a tune-up. This is a 2-year budget. Our big emphasis was last year, and this was the first time we've gone from a annual budget to a biennial budget. And so the expectation is not to make drastic changes. And this budget does not. It does not increase any FTEs. We had in the general fund last year, 270.92. Don't ask me who the 0.92 employee is. But this year it's 270.92. It's okay. The other thing that we talked about it during the study session and during our budget deliberations study session, is that there's a cushion here. So when you look at 270 employees, that considers or assumes that we have full employment. Well, I'll tell you right now, at any given time in the city, there's approximately 30 vacant positions, okay? Multiply that by an average salary of 100,000 with benefits, that's $3 million delta there. We're gonna be okay. Do we need to, the next council, I won't be here, the next council and need to work with the mayor on the budget and look at revenue resources? Sure, just like all other municipalities and all other counties, we're faced with rising costs and limited ways to increase revenue, right? We rely on sales tax revenue, B&O tax revenue, and utility tax revenue. Those are the three main legs of the stool that run the city in property tax. So I guess we have a four-legged chair. But the property tax is capped at 1%. B&O tax, the council, and actually I was largely responsible for it, moved the exemption up to over $1 million, and now we're at $1,060,000. So small businesses don't pay B&O tax, a lot of them in the city. I'm proud of that. But we're going to be okay. All right. So having said that, I need to afford the rest of the council if they want to counter what I said. I would hope not, but okay. Go ahead, council member.
Denny, Councilmember Fry.
Go ahead, council member Fry.
Yeah, President Younger, I was the one that it wasn't, I attributed your comment, which I do believe you said, as accusing Councilmember Coughlin and I of crying that the sky was falling.
Okay.
That was said. So, but I never said that you said it.
I got you. Okay.
I am surprised that you haven't said it, but the only other thing I want to say, it's such a trigger for me. So many businesses and so many nonprofits and so many cities have probably said it's going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. We've been through this before. We'll get through it again. And I'm just going to say, going through into the 8th year of budgeted deficits is not a good, sound fiscal policy. So I'm going to be voting no on this budget.
Okay, no worries. So you looks like you have the last word. We don't have any other comments. Is there another hand up?
Just make,
Okay, I mean, I'd like to get to a vote. Go ahead, Councilmember Chamberlain.
okay, I mean.
Have
we'll
have
do
the last word, please.
All right. Well, you did say it was afforded to me. So, what was the increase, in this tune-up? Was it 3.5 million increase? I think it was around there. Is Mike still on there with us?
I am. I need to pull up that number. So
I want to say it was like, moving from 69 to 72.
I'll take a
Around there. And then what I'm trying to remember is I believe 2.5 million was what was from the collective bargaining, which is what.
Yeah, 96% of the change was from the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, so maybe a $3 million increase roundabout.
I think it was 3.6 million is what I think it is, but I want to get the actual number for you.
And so that was through collective bargaining. And then can we talk a little bit about, there was a slide that talked about our reserves. And the best practice is 60-day or 90-day reserves. And what are we budgeted to now?
I'm looking at the slides right now.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know Council President wants to go to a vote.
Okay, so I'll just walk through where we were in 25, where we're projected to end this year, where we're budgeted in 26, and where we're projected to end 26. So when we adopted the budget, the 2025 ending fund balance was adopted at 12.9%, 47 days of operation. We are right now projecting to have 22% fund balance. That will give us 81 days of operation. The best practice is 16.67%, which is 60 days of operation.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And then 26, we had adopted a 10%, 10.1%, 37 days. And the mid-biennium is reflective of 13.2% at 48 days.
Right. Okay. So we're projected, you said that last part was 46 days?
The last part, we are now at 48 days.
48 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Best practice is 60 days.
Yep.
Okay. And I just, I definitely understand where some of our counselors are coming from. I think my concern, and this will be my last word, is that what I don't want to do is find creative ways to tax our citizens. I want to find creative ways to make cuts, creative ways to generate revenue, in a progressive way and not in a regressive taxation way. Thank you.
Any other comments? Sure.
It's always raining in Washington, so we really need to keep a substantial rainy day fund available to us.
All right. With that, you guys can decipher that however you want. Call for the question.
Councilmember Frye,
No.
Coughlin,
No.
Rebelowski,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
No.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Younger.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Yes.
Motion carries 4 yeses, 3 nos.
Okay, we have another public hearing when you're ready.
Item 5B, public hearing on ordinance to adopt the 2026 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan. Presenter tonight is Parks and Recreation Director Tim Barker.
Welcome, Director Barker.
Thank you. Okay, so before I start, I'm just going to mention I should be fine, but this is going to be the longest I've stood in the last couple of days. So my back to work today had been sick, but if I fall to the ground, our fire chief's here, I'm sure to save him. Okay, thank you, council, for entertaining this as a agenda item today. I'm here to talk about the Parks, Rec, and Open Space Master Plan for 2026. Just a little bit of background before we move forward. The Parks, Rec, and Open Space Master Plan is a plan that is assembled really based on what the community feels are the largest needs within the parks and recreation system within our community. And so it's really driven by public input. Obviously, staff as professionals and knowing what trends are out there in the parks and recreation world, we have some influence as far as future planning, but it's really a plan created by the community with public involvement. Within that process, the heavy lifters of that this year were staff. I have a couple of my staff here, Colette Berna, who is our Park Preservation and Development Manager, and then Brian Hoschel, who is our Park Operations Manager. They took a heavy load in meeting both internally and with our commission, which we have Greg Dawson, who is here representing our commission tonight. So Greg can attest that he sat through 3 and 4 hour meetings this last year to walk through step by step as we went through the process of updating this master plan. So there's really 4 key elements included within the Park, Rec, and Open Space Master Plan as far as why we create this document. One is to obviously manage an inventory of our park system. So within that, just as an example, within the document, we have each park is identified based on its park size. So whether it's a community park size, a regional park size, neighborhood park size, or pocket park. So based on the acreage and area that it serves. Within the guide, it notes I'll use an example, Evergreen Rotary Park gives an explanation of the park, the size, acreage, maybe when the city acquired it or developed it, the inventory within the park. So really all the assets that are there within that park system. And this year we included ages on playground facilities and some of our other facilities. So then when we go back and refer back, we immediately have that information on there. So we don't have to sit and guess what year was that put in? Because everything in my world seems to be between 3 and 7 years. I don't really know the difference between those management concerns. So if there are concerns, issues that we have as we're going through and doing our inventory walkthrough as staff, then we'll note those. Again, getting feedback from the public and feedback from our commission members. And then improvement recommendations, which unfortunately tends to be sometimes the largest portion of those bullet points within each of those sections, is areas that we think we need to address coming up. So whether those are addressed within our 6-year or 20-year capital plans, or whether they're items that need to be addressed throughout regular the operating year with funds that we have available to us. Gathering citizen input, obviously that's a major part of what we do. As mentioned in the process, is getting that feedback. And so really, I'll get into that a little bit more in a couple slides. Maintaining grant eligibility within the state of Washington. To be able to apply for grants, we have to have a master plan that's updated every 6 years. Otherwise, all the grants that we've received from the state, we would not be eligible for. And as you're aware, most of our projects within the Parks and Rec Department cannot happen without grant funding, and whether that's full funding with no cash match or funding with some sort of cash or local contribution. So that grant eligibility is extremely important to us. And then obviously planning for potential annexations down the road and population growth. So trying to forecast and see where development and population is going to be occurring, and seeing how we can address that, whether that's acquisition of property for eventual park development or working with developers to develop some sort of park feature. Okay, so I'll kind of quickly run through just kind of this last year in review, just so the public can see the process that we went through. This truly was a 12-month process, as I mentioned to you at our study session last month. Typically, your open space plan review is about 18 months to 2 years, but we wanted to get this done within a year period, so then we can move forward. So we've really compacted it this last year. February, March, and April is when we worked diligently through each of those individual amenities and spaces that we manage. So the parks, the plazas, streetscapes, all of those different pieces. We met with our commission. We prepared videos this year, which was kind of fun and interactive for them to be able to see us out there, and for them to be able to visualize better than trying to imagine what we're talking about. So I think that was extremely helpful to have that. We plan to utilize that within some of our future promotions and on our website to better give people an understanding of what each of our parks and areas look like that we manage. And then after those, we reviewed the survey results. So during the months of March and April, we had a survey open to the public, and we received a lot of positive feedback and feedback in general. I think all feedback is positive, that we're receiving it. So a lot of good responses and involvement from the public through that survey process. And then in June, walked through goals, objectives, and then kind of fine-tuned everything towards the end of the summer, working with our action plan, and then that 6 and 20-year capital facilities plan. And then in September, the commission approved the draft version of the master plan. Okay, so this is the slide on public outreach, just to kind of give you an idea of the different ways that we reached out. So we used a lot of social media, and then with our website, BCAT was a big help with this too. They created a great video, happened to star me, which wasn't the great part, but the information that they helped me provide was fantastic. And we got a lot of traction with that, which was great. Flyers. So we posted flyers at all of our parks and in any of our areas where we had, benches or dugouts, those types of things. We had them posted throughout with QR codes so people could hop on. We reached out, and I met with a number of different classes at the middle school to get their feedback. The senior center, met with a lot of individuals that utilize our senior center, and obviously mentioned the 10 public meetings, and 900 survey results is a great response. We previously, I think we had about 286 in the 2020 as far as responses. So the way that we were able to reach out to the public was much broader, and obviously received a lot of great responses in getting 900, which was fantastic. Okay, so I always like to point this first, the number 2 question on the survey out, really is what, if the 96.7% was much lower than that, then I think we have a problem. The question is how important do you think Bremerton Parks and Recreation System is to Bremerton? It's not necessarily what do you think needs to be done, what's great, what's not great. It's how important do you think the system is to your quality of life in this community? So to have 96.7% respond with a positive response there, I think that tells us, we're doing the right thing. So that was a great to be able to see, and that's of those 900 that filled out the full survey. On the bottom, question 6, how would you grade the Parks and Rec system? Majority graded B or C, but definitely between A through C, it's overwhelming support. Positive ratings were driven by cleanliness, accessibility to equipment within the park system, and number of quality parks that we have. Negative ratings were influenced by bathroom conditions at the time that they were there, various safety concerns and encampments, which neither one of those most common responses were much of a surprise for us. Highest priority for fundings were, that was another question that we had asked that, that we thought was important, is if we have funding available, where do you think that funding should be focused towards? With a number of different options. One of the most selected option was improving existing parks as opposed to purchasing property and developing new. So taking care of what we have, managing them, and ensuring safety within those park systems. And then if they were to support something where we were going to spend more money towards, it was towards trails, larger community parks, and recreation programs. I didn't get into the top right section at all, but that was a listing of the most common themes. And I'll just kind of read through a couple of those. Roller skating facilities, that was a little bit of a surprise to us, but looking at research that since the roller rink closed in 2017, I have actually seen a lot of people out in the community that have mentioned to me that they'd love to see something like that reappear. And that can also be combined to not only just recreational roller skating, but roller derby and other similar things that people are creating. Pickleball courts is not a huge surprise to us. I don't think in a community you can ever have enough pickleball courts. Parks, safety and cleanliness, as we kind of discussed, inclusive design and accessibilities, and then trail and bike connectivity were kind of our top 5 there. Okay. Not that I needed to put glasses on for that one, but I would for this. So this slide just gives you an idea of our 2020 to 2025. So the previous 6-year capital projects, as far as what was in there. The check marks on the left show what was completed. So the items that were completed were Warren Avenue playfield improvements, and urban forest management plan, Haddon Park, which is recently completed. And then on the bottom, not just because it's not listed, and I tell this to anybody that comes to me with a great new idea, just because we don't have it listed in the pros plan doesn't mean it's not something that we can consider and look towards accomplishing. And that's a great example in that last check mark on the bottom for the Kitsap or the Kiwanis Park Playground accessible upgrades. That wasn't necessarily a project identified in the six-year plan, but between the Kiwanis Club and the Department of Commerce grant, we were able to fully fund that project and get that completed. There's also 4 other projects, as you can see, that are currently in process. On these pages too, it does note items that are really items that are high priority. So with the Warren Avenue playfield, it was upgrading the sports field lighting. In progress as part of Lions Park, the coal dock removal, boat launch replacement. Those are items that we are currently working on a solution for. And then Evergreen Rotary Park, that continuous perimeter pathway, and then moving some of our above ground utilities underground. So that's a project that's still in the works. And so for this next, go back to previous one. For this next 6-year capital plan, I'm not going to run through all of these. Some of them are consistent that have been there a few years. And if you've seen any of our most recent social media, whether it's surveying or videos, Off-Leash Dog Park, we're jumping on that one right now as a potential new project this next year. But these are all items that within the recommendations through the community and through the identified concerns and issues within each of the sections we felt were needed to be priorities as options for this next 6-year timeframe. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, land use planning and planning for the future is something that's extremely important. And when it comes to parks, you know, obviously we'd love to see land designated for park development, whether at that time or in the future before housing takes over. And then you have no parkland available left after it's been fully developed. So targeted annexation areas within the yellow include Bremerton, Gorst, and Central Kitsap urban growth areas. Just some resources that we utilize for open space policies within the comp plan are related to the plan for growth, the protection of natural environment, and then promoting community health. And then obviously keeping in mind that within this larger urban growth area, our estimated population is planned to increase significantly in the next 20 years to about 76,000 people. Okay, again, this is another slide that I won't necessarily get into specifically, but you can read along. These are the 7 key goals that we've identified within our, and these aren't necessarily capital projects, they're more overall goals that we've identified within this 2026 PROS plan. Examples are providing and or facilitating a variety of recreation opportunities for a large spectrum of ages, interests, and abilities. Obviously, that needs to, with being recreation as well as parks, that needs to be a key focus of what we're doing. Developing cost recovery and expense tracking for revenue generating facilities and ensuring financial responsible operations. That obviously should be a no-brainer. But is something that's extremely important to us, especially with the budget constraints that we typically function under. We need to make sure that we're good stewards of the funding that we have and that we're bringing in revenue where revenue generation is possible. Okay, this is my final slide. This really just kind of shows you where we've gone since the commission's approval of the draft plan in September. So moving forward, we've sent the draft off to the state for their various reviews. We've made it available to the public on the website and in print copies in various locations. And then Department of Community Development's received it, and obviously had the study session last month and the public hearing today. And then we plan to move forward with a proposal to adopt it in 2 weeks on the 17th. That's all I have.
Thank you, Director Barker. You did very well for recovering from an illness. Folks, this is a public meeting. Purpose of the public hearing, actually, obviously it's a public meeting. This is a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to accept public comment. Please note that no action tonight is anticipated by this council. So we're here just to listen to you, and you've got 2 weeks to also email your comments to the city council's office. And then we will, as I mentioned on the slide, vote on this item 2 weeks from now. So with that, I am now opening the public hearing. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
My name is Robin Weldon with Friends of Smith Cove. I had not planned on speaking to the parks presentation. I live near Evergreen Park. It is an incredible park. It's a jewel in our city. But what makes it that is Smith Cove. Smith Cove has a shoreline that needs to be protected. And unfortunately, in the 2021 Shoreline Master Program, those protections were taken away from it. It should be a recreational shoreline all the way around, and they isolated the tip of Smith Cove for Wesley Arthur Larson's Evergreen Point development. We need to protect our shorelines in our parks. We need to there's a stormwater drain that goes right into Smith Cove that basically puts all kinds of pollutants, including 6 ppd tire dust into our waters. And 6 pp 6 pt becomes 6 ppdq once it's in the water, which kills salmon 100%. There's a restoration project that has been in the works since 2017 that needs to be addressed, and we are, I guess, looking at that through the Navy. The other thing is there is this rumor of encampments in our parks. That is just not true. There are not tent encampments in our parks, maybe. And the thing about it is the Parks Department, just like the council and just like the city government, they need to be impartial. They took you guys all took an oath of office to be impartial to every citizen, and every citizen should be considered in the parks, and including public bathrooms being open, including people being able to bring their children there, and there are people who are families that are homeless that need to come to the park, and if they need to be in the park to be safe, then we need to keep our people safe. They are more important than dogs. Thank you.
Jose Camacho, Friends of Smith Cove, Rock the Block. Every time I get up here, my brain is spaghetti. And to have to organize my thoughts in 3 minutes, it's always impossible. And I've never been a public speaker. She actually does a better job of getting more out. I've been a homeless person. I've been a paralegal. I've even been an ultra runner, if you can believe it, running on trails for 50 miles. I came to Bremerton in love with the idea of the Pacific Northwest. It was a boyhood dream, as well as reaching the moon. So I was excited when I looked at the law here, and it actually had some premier environmental protections. And very quickly, I realized the law wasn't respected here. I am trained to look for omissions. I don't just look for what appears on paper. I don't buy whatever I see. You look for the things that people hide, and this includes legal arguments. The omissions are important. So with that in mind, when I look at the cross plan, I look for the omissions, and it doesn't have Smith Cove. It doesn't have a serious approach to ecological stewardship. It never talks about the pending salmonid restoration plan that has been on paper since 2014 reached a concrete form in 2017, and you never hear about it. During comp plan, that's the time when you should have heard about it. And one reason why you should have heard about it, and it pertains to the PROS plan, is we have law, recreation designation in Bremerton Shoreline Master Program, and that was disappeared. If it wasn't disappeared, you all, the public, would have had to focus on shoreline preservation. When you look at Evergreen Park, the shoreline, it is a shoreline park. That is a treasure. I almost used the F-bomb because that's how strongly I feel. It is a treasure. The Smith's Cove was a wonderland to me when I got here. And you see kids scouring the beaches. That is their moment of curiosity and love for nature. That's where they learn how to take care of the earth and their future. And when you're there, if you're a grandparent or a parent, that is something you appreciate immediately. The recreation designation for Smith Cove and the park is about ecological stewardship and the open space plan. And it is nowhere to be seen in the PROS plan. Same thing for the homeless. There are 20 references to the homeless. They've never approached the homeless about the park. Bathrooms. There's so much that should be in there. You do not have to pass it. Not until it includes these important matters that you know are important to the public. You know this.
Hi, my name's Chance Corey. I live in District 5. I want to talk about a few things that I noticed in the parks plan. The first is the purpose of parks is to give a third space for community to gather. How much do you want to gather somewhere where there's going to be cars driving through? We spent all this money and it is listed as one of the parks on Quincy Square. There is not a solid reason not to close that street year round, except for deliveries, so that we can have that open space. The city government needs more funding. Imagine being able to use that as a summer market all summer long and not just during the weekends. I will say one of the other issues I wanted to talk about is the bathrooms. I appreciate that off park hours, we should close facilities because facilities are closed. I've been 3 times this past year to Forest Ridge in between meetings and needed to use the bathroom. And you know what wasn't open? The bathroom. I noticed on the last plan, replacing the bathrooms at Forest Ridge was on the list. You know, it hasn't happened yet, so it's on the next plan. I want to talk about Forest Ridge because it's one of the parks that's closest to me, but it is also one of the only parks in this city that is surrounded by a traditionally marginalized population. It has the closest to Charleston, which has the city's historic queer community. It has a lot of Hispanic and immigrant families, and consequently, I find it really hard to stomach that it's the one that gets the back burner. Now, I was there 3 weeks ago, in between meetings, and I normally pull to the end of the park where there's the roundabout so I can turn my car around and just sit and eat. I noticed something that most people are going to call hostile architecture. And I understand there have been some things going on after dark, and I hope we see these gates soon. But I can't advocate enough that we need to remove the boulders. That sends the wrong message to an already marginalized part of our town that we're going to punish you further for being marginalized by putting hostile architecture in your public spaces. And we need to spend the money at Forest Ridge to put the new bathrooms in. It needs to be kept up just like any of the other parks that are its size. It's one of the larger parks in Bremerton. Thank you.
Mr. Sorensen, is there anyone online?
There is not.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public in attendance wish to speak?
Hello, Natalie Levine, District 3 now. Oh golly. there's a lot I really like about the parks plan. I also am concerned about the lack of bathrooms. Go figure. I've only talked about it a dozen times. But I also know Tim Barker to be someone who can build a really nice bathroom. He did it for Lulu Haddon Park, and I really believe that he can do it for all the other parks and can put in some really cool bathrooms. And so I hope that those parts of the plan are the parts that really get prioritized. I've been fortunate the last few times I've been to a park that the bathrooms have been open, but one of the parks I used to live near, the bathroom was almost never open. And that last like quarter of a mile to my house through that park was a really tedious walk home, a lot of the time in the dark needing to pee. So bathroom comments done. Please build them. And then also, I'm really excited that a lot of people came forward about wanting a roller rink. I think that a roller rink, in addition to our parks, is a really phenomenal third space. It's something that we're lacking. And both nationally, state level, and locally, we've talked a lot about isolation and loneliness as being one of the factors that greatly reduces one's life expectancy, as well as their just day-to-day living and how they actually feel about their community. Isolation and loneliness is something that can really be a huge barrier to people connecting with one another, seeking help, and providing help to one another's. And I think that I'm really excited to see the parks plan move forward and be able to provide more of those third spaces where people can go pee. It's so that we can reduce that isolation and loneliness. It's hard enough here in the winter. I'd really like to make it a lot easier by having some lovely spaces to be, having those protected waterfronts, and having a spot where I can go watch other people's dogs because I don't have a dog. And just hang out with my neighbors and hear what they have to complain about. I mean, I like hearing them complain here, but I'd love to hear them complain in a park too. It's one of my hobbies. And it'd be cool to get to do it outside. And so I'm excited about the pros plan. Not without my hesitancies, but I am excited to see more third spaces, and I'm excited to see more bathrooms that Tim Barker's going to design, because he seriously makes good bathrooms. Man could be a design architect plumber. He's great at it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It looks like you may have the last word. One last check, Mr. Sorensen.
There's nobody online.
Thank you, sir. With that, I now close this public hearing. Again, reminder that the council will vote on this 2 weeks from now. Hey, that concludes our council business for tonight. So now we're going to turn to the mayor for the mayor's report. Welcome, Mayor Wheeler, when you're ready.
All right, good evening, Council President, councilors. Good to see you tonight. Got a couple slides to share. Inventec Marine Solutions. It's a new operation out at the Port of Bremerton. And this one, as you can see up on the slide, just a quick snapshot for you. They manufacture military, fire, police, and recreational boats for use all over the world. We anticipate 150 jobs over the next 2 years as they expand their operations. Wanted to share that with you. Occupancy again was just completed, and so this October. And West Sound Tech update, another huge project that very important for our city, and temporary occupancy has been granted. And the overall vision for this expansion is 3D animation careers and cosmetology programs, all important work and services that our community really needs. And this will provide a training opportunity, and these are just a few of the programs. This is where those training opportunities will occur. Quincy Square, this is the public meeting. And this is coming very, very soon, next week, Tuesday, December 9th, 5 p.m. at the Roxy Theater. And this is a chance now to get some good feedback. This will be that space where the businesses can come in, residents downtown, the folks who shop downtown, anybody else who is interested in our downtown core can provide some input, some feedback. Give us your thoughts on how this pilot program went as far as the closure that we implemented not too long ago. So looking forward to hearing from everybody, and then we will gather that information and we'll start to work on next steps. And Krampus. So that is coming. It's very soon, this Saturday, and it starts at 2 p.m., goes till 9 p.m., and there is a parade at 5:30. So, you know, this is something that the city just issued the permit for. And for some reason, this evokes emotions from our public. So I say that tongue in cheek. But it is an opportunity for individuals who are into the Bavarian themed Christmas celebration to celebrate in a different way. And we grant that, of course, and those opportunities because it is what makes a city diverse. And so that is coming, and that's an opportunity for some of you to go down there and enjoy that. All right, that concludes my report tonight, Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Now we'll turn to council member reports. This is an opportunity for council members to provide an update on any issues or events taking place in their district, announce any events they recently attended or plan to attend, or to speak on any other city-related topic. Since this is the first council business meeting of the month, we'll start with council member Chamberlain.
My holiday gift to you is a short report. I have one slide. Hey, it's eggnog mile time, Saturday, December 13th at Cafe Perfetto. Basically, you drink eggnog, not alcoholic kind, just straight out of the carton, folks, and you run a mile. Every lap you do, you come back, you drink some more eggnog. There's prizes. I've done this before with my kiddo. We did not make it through. Eggnog is actually, it's really hard to drink a lot of eggnog when you run a mile. But with that concludes my council report. Thank you. Please attend for fun and free eggnog.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Fry.
I don't have a report tonight. Thanks.
And no worries. Thank you. Councilmember Coughlin.
Thanks, Council President. I don't have slides, but I'm just gonna walk through some events as well. Kudos to Downtown Bremerton Association for a great Winterfest last Saturday. We're getting to lots of events. That was a big hit. We've also got Art Walk and First Friday this coming Friday in both downtown and Manette, and of course Cal Charleston and the Harrison Heights area as well, outside District 3. Busy night that night because also on Friday we have Magic in Manette from 5 to 8, and so also big thanks to the Manette Business Association for putting that on every year. And as Mayor mentioned, then the next day on Saturday is Krampus downtown, and a huge kudos to Eric Morley, who does so much work for that event each year. And I consistently hear year after year how much extra business that brings to all our downtown businesses. And I actually had a family friend who just texted me the other day and said, I'm coming to Krampus to Bremerton up from Portland. So we got folks coming from other states just for Krampus. So again, big kudos to Eric Morley on that. And then I was going to echo the public meeting December 9th for the Roxy. I've gotten a lot of good feedback. I'll share from folks I've heard as a council member, plus some, behalf of the museum as well. So good movement there on Quincy Square. And again, such kudos to Downtown Bremerton Association for all the work they've done on that. And one more kudos to DBA. There's green drinks, the holiday green drinks, Thursday, December 11th next week. It's going to be both at Quincy Square and inside the Kitsap History Museum. So they're going to call it a vintage holiday party. Great networking, good way to know folks in our community. Everyone is welcome to attend. There are tickets to buy, but you can get those online, and it'll be a good end to the year for downtown and other parts of the city. So before my voice totally dies on me, that's it for me. Thank you all.
Well, not so quick, Councilmember Coughlin. So you have a young son, and this Krampus thing, doesn't it scare the heck out of him? What's going on here? Can you explain what goes on during this Krampus thing for us? Like
He's come to love Krampus.
I've never heard of this tradition until
when he sees Krampus now, he runs up and gives Krampus big hugs.
Well, I'm sorry, I missed that. It's nothing to be scared of, or
not my little one's not. Oh boy, my little one's not scared of Krampus, but If some adults are, I could understand.
Yeah, I'm scared of Krampus. I guess that goes to my character. Okay, thank you, sir. With that, Vice President Revlowski.
So I know everybody's interested in taxes now that we talked about the budget again for a while. And one thing too, the budget discussions we have are open to the public and they are listed on the website and the notice goes out. So hopefully that we have more of them next year. Anyway, I just wanted to show where your taxes are going because a lot of people look at their tax bill and think the city's getting it all. So this is actually my property. And it's worth less than, the average house in town, but it's only 650 square feet. So I'm guessing that's why it's worth less. But if you look, the city of Bremerton is getting $660.40 from me. The state is getting $742. School district is getting $891. And then we have all our other, what I call minor ones, although the county gets $194 from me. So when people get their tax bill or they hear the budget discussed, I know a lot of people are thinking that the city, our general fund is getting lots of money, but we're not. And the general fund pays for all of our police, our fire, and a lot of our other staff. And there's no magic ways to get extra money without taxing people higher. So I'm with Councilmember Chamberlain. I don't want to see any regressive taxes going either, but we may need to have to raise some more taxes or decrease services. So anyway, I have a more detailed handout on this. If anybody wants it, you can send to me an email and I'll send you a copy of where all your tax money goes to in the state of Washington. Next slide, please. So this is just a reminder that there's all kinds of community groups that are advertising for holiday help for their families that they work with. So these are all QR codes. This slide is also on the website, so you can go to tonight's agenda and you'll see these and you can check on all of the ones that you want to help with. Next slide, please. Okay, so this isn't in my district. I'm stealing this from Michael Goodnow. But this is actually my favorite. I mean, I love the Krampus parade, but Krampus and Santa wrestling, I mean, doesn't get any better. I mean, that is the most non-religious way of celebrating what a lot of people celebrate on the 25th of December. But it's a lot of fun. So that's on the 13th. So I hope after you go to Krampus Fest this Saturday, then the following Saturday, you come down to Callow and see how we do it on the west side. I think that's it for me.
Councilmember Goodnow.
And then the weekend after that, Jane and I are going to wrestle. So let's see. Oh, we go. Okay. So the Charleston Business District is having a holiday mixer Tuesday, December 16th, 6 p.m. at Moments on Callow. It's kind of across from the Charleston to give you a little idea where it's at. Everyone's kind of welcome and great chance to see what's going on down there and meet some of the business folks and stuff. So next slide, please. Another exciting thing from the owner of Blossom, not Blossom, that's what this is called. from moments where the event was being held. She's starting 2 more businesses down there. So there's going to be a place called Gray's, which is going to be like kind of a charcuterie board place, but also I think there'll be some grab and go sandwiches and the soups and things like that. And then also there's going to be a balloon shop and florist going in at the space next door. So we're excited for that and to support that. And then because we deserve to be able to go out more than just on first Fridays, Callow is starting in every third Friday, 5 to 8 p.m. Callow nights. And, you know, kind of like an art walk, music, tours, food, drink, everything. So start getting that on your calendar. Third Fridays, Callow nights. So is that the last one? Sure. Okay, I've got, so one other thing I'll plug, this weekend, again, lots of stuff building on last weekend's tree lighting. But on a Sunday at the Roxy, there is a free screening of Elf at 1 p.m. We've been doing this pretty much every year. And I hear Santa Claus will be in the lobby of the Roxy from 11 to 1 o'clock. If folks want to bring kids down and take pictures, we don't have a photographer arranged, but you can just take your own. That way you have it ready to go. And I did also hear that Easter Bunny might be at the Callow Krampus bout. So not wrestling, just I heard. Anyways, so
well, maybe the frog might have to show up too.
hope to see you guys all out and about the next couple of weekends because it's great living here. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, Councilmember Michael, are you going to be able to top that?
No, absolutely not. First slide, please. Thanks. This is just thanks to Dave Sorensen and Ann Williams for getting this in at the last minute. There's going to be a power outage here in this whole area on Friday, December 5th, starting at 9 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. and running until 7 a.m. on December 6th. They did a whole bunch of robocalls and postcards. Still, I just thought this was something useful to mention to everyone. Next slide, please. The native plant sale, the Kitsap Conservation District native plant sale. Many people say, this sneaks up on me every year. This year, it is not sneaking up on you. It opened day before yesterday. And one of the great things about the Kitsap Conservation District is all native plants and all sold bare root. I've used this material in my yard for years. You basically take bare root material and yutz it into a bunch of sawdust, and it'll just quietly stay there for a long time. This is excellent material. It's crazy go nuts inexpensive. It's a way to bring wildlife and pollinators and low maintenance vegetation into your yard. You pick up in March. So get online and go to Kitsap Conservation District. Tell your friends, tell your family. Next slide, please. So this is a town hall at, it's the Green Mountain Summit. It will be Sunday, December 7th from 3 to 5 p.m. It would be great if some people from forestry could come and interact with Joshua Wright about challenges to the forested watershed that we heard about so much in the last month or two. It's Kitsap Environmental Coalition is presenting it. Really, all I'm doing is unlocking it and, sweeping up afterwards. I hope you can make it. It's during the day and there will be major snacks. Next slide, please. So on December 8th is my regular town hall from 5 until 6:30. Same 100 Oyster Bay Avenue North. This is basically Common Streets coming to talk to people and say, here's what we do. They presented at Citizens Academy, they told us a couple months ago, And people were like, wow, we didn't know Bremerton did that. So this will be a chance for them to, talk to people and talk about how you can be of use and basically that. I'd also like to thank Counselor Reblowski for amassing all the information on how much and on what City of Bremerton spends on homeless services. So this is again, I unlock it. I lock it after. I hope you can come. This should be really, really good. If any of you have heard Tricia Munson speak or Brendan Perko, they're really down to earth speakers. Lots of plain language. Next slide, please. Okay, so before that ends, I spent many, like 4.5 hours reviewing the pros plan, and I prepared a quick speech about it, which is echoing all through here tonight. What keeps us safe is each other, and that's why we need third places. We need Grange halls and libraries and community centers and parks, cafes, places where we can gather. And one more thing, which is the Kitsap Housing and Homelessness Coalition is accepting comments on their 5-year plan for Kitsap County homelessness. The comments can be accepted up until December 8th, and that website is Kitsap, spelled out, hhc.org. Have a really great weekend.
Thank you. So just a reminder, kind of weird how Wednesdays fall this month. We only have one study session left, which is December 10th, and one council meeting, which will be December 17th. We will have no other council meetings this month. The December 10th one will begin at 5 p.m. in a 6th-floor council conference room with a remote option available by Zoom. Folks, that concludes tonight's meeting.